The desert never forgot her light. Even after years of silence, the sand still glowed faintly when the wind passed, as if they remembered the girl who had burned herself into the sky. They said Captain Ryan Hale went mad after the war, that he spent his life chasing ghosts, talking to stars, waiting for a voice that no one else could hear. But in the wasteland where she had once saved the world, a signal had returned. Not from humans, not from machines, but from the light itself. This object may look like a falling star, another piece of forgotten metal from the war. But it's not what you think. Because when it crashes in the same desert where she once died, and Ryan crawls toward it with shaking hands, a soft, trembling voice rises from the smoke. "Father, did you miss me?" And with that one word, Father, the world that had learned to forget begins to remember again. If this new being wasn't treated as a person, as family, but again as a weapon, humanity would lose more than just peace. It would lose the only part of itself that proved love could outlive death. Luna's sacrifice had bought the world a decade of calm. Nations rebuilt, the skies cleared, and the story of the blue-skinned alien girl became nothing more than a legend told around campfires. But legends have gravity, and the light she left behind had not faded. It had grown. The crash that now shook the desert wasn't just debris. It carried her energy, her code, her memories, and something new. A child not born, but created from the same light that once wrapped Earth in safety. If Ryan couldn't reach her first, the military would. And this time, there would be no hesitation, no compassion. They would end her before she could even speak. Because humanity still feared what it didn't understand. And this child of Luna, this being of light and blood, might be their last chance to remember what being human truly meant. If he failed, she would die believing love was a myth, and the promise that Luna died for, that even light can love, would be erased from the universe. The storm rolled across the horizon, thick and alive, turning the sky into a swirling mix of gold and ash. Ryan's Jeep cut through the wind, old tires grinding over the same desert road he had driven so many years ago. The scanner on his dash blinked red, each pulse faster than the last. He didn't believe in signs anymore. He didn't believe in hope, not since the day she vanished. But when that signal came from the same coordinates, the exact spot where she had given her life, his heart began to race like it remembered something his mind refused to. The radar beeped again, louder, sharper. He stopped the Jeep. For a moment there was only wind, dry, endless, and cold. Then he saw it, a crater wide and deep, glowing faintly white against the orange sand. Smoke curled upward, carrying the smell of burnt ozone and dust. Ryan gripped his rifle and stepped forward. He had told himself this would be another false reading. A satellite scrap, a malfunction, anything but what his heart hoped for. But hope has a way of crawling back when you least expect it. He climbed down into the crater, his boots sinking into soft sand. The light came from a cracked pod, half buried in the dirt. It hissed quietly, steam rising from its seams. Ryan approached slowly, weapon raised until the pod's door clicked open. Inside was a small figure. Not an adult, a child. She was sitting upright, trembling, her hands pressed over her chest as if holding something precious inside. Her skin shimmered sky blue, clear as the summer above. Her hair was white-silver, glowing faintly in the light. And when she turned her head toward him, her eyes were gold, soft, wide, and filled with confusion. For a heartbeat, Ryan couldn't move. She looked like her. Not perfectly, not exactly, but enough. The same shape of face, the same ears pointed and delicate, the same faint glow beneath the skin. "Who?" His voice cracked. "Who are you?" The child tilted her head, studying him. When she spoke, her voice was small but steady. "You're him," she said. "You're the one she talked about." He blinked, lost. "She?" The girl placed her hand on the metal rim of the pod. "Luna," she whispered. "She made me." For a long moment, Ryan forgot how to breathe. His rifle dropped to his side. "That's impossible," he muttered. The girl smiled softly. She said you'd say that. He knelt in front of her, his knees pressing into the sand. Up close, she looked fragile, but there was a warmth radiating from her skin, like sunlight trying to become human. Your name? He asked quietly. Do you have one? Lyra, she said. She called me Lyra, after the constellation where she sent her light. Ryan swallowed hard, emotion burning behind his eyes. He remembered the last thing Luna had said. I'll always be here, Father. And somehow she had kept her promise. Lyra, he said again, the name shaking in his throat. She nodded. She said you would protect me, like you did her. Before he could answer, thunder cracked across the sky. A shadow moved overhead, a black military drone sweeping low, its red lens scanning the crater. Ryan grabbed her arm gently. We have to go, now! She didn't resist. Are they bad? They don't understand, he said. And when people don't understand, they destroy. They climbed out together. The drone passed over once more, then turned back toward the base. He knew what that meant. He wasn't the only one tracking the signal. As they reached the jeep, Lyra turned her face to the sunlight, squinting as if seeing the world for the first time. It's warm, she whispered. Ryan glanced at her, and for the first time in years, he smiled. Yeah, he said softly. It is, the engine roared. The desert stretched endless before them, and behind them, the wind began to sing through the crater, a quiet, haunting melody that sounded almost like a voice saying, "Welcome home." Ryan drove through the storm until the sand turned silver under the rising sun. The desert stretched endless, silent, except for the growl of the jeep. Beside him sat Lyra, her small hands resting on her lap, eyes wide as she watched the world pass by for the first time. Her hair shimmered in the light, a halo of white that made her look almost unreal. Where are we going? She asked softly. Somewhere safe, Ryan replied. His voice was low, but his heart was pounding. A place where no one will find you. The road ended at a small outpost built into the cliffs, his refuge since the war ended. The building was old, half buried in sand, but still alive with the hum of old generators. He parked the jeep and opened the door for her. The heat pressed down on them like a living thing. Lyra stepped out and looked around. It's quiet, she said. I like it. Ryan smiled faintly. That's why I stay here. Inside, the walls were covered in maps, radio screens, and dusty photos. One of them showed a younger Ryan standing beside Luna, the last image captured before her sacrifice. Lyra stopped in front of it, her golden eyes softening. That's her, she whispered. Ryan nodded slowly. Yeah, that's Luna. Lyra touched the photo gently, her fingers trembling. She looks sad, she said. She was, he replied. She carried too much. Lyra turned to him, her voice barely above a whisper. She said you taught her what love means. The words hit him harder than any bullet ever had. He turned away, staring out the window at the endless sand. Maybe, he said quietly, but I couldn't save her. Lyra looked down at her hands. You did. She said you gave her peace. That night, the wind howled outside the metal walls. Ryan couldn't sleep. He sat by the window, a bottle of water in his hand, watching the stars shift. Somewhere out there, Luna's light still burned, scattered across the cosmos. He wondered if she could see him now, if she'd be proud or disappointed. Behind him, Lyra stirred in her makeshift bed. Father, she said softly. He turned. You should be sleeping. I had a dream, she whispered. I saw her. Ryan's breath caught. What did she say? Lyra smiled faintly, her eyes glowing. She said, you're not done yet. Before he could answer, the old radar on his desk began to beep. The screen flickered, showing a red signal approaching fast from the east. Ryan froze. Drones, military frequency. They had found them. He grabbed his gear. We need to move. Lyra stood, calm despite the alarm in his voice. They're coming for me, aren't they? He didn't answer. He didn't need to. The way her eyes dimmed told him she already knew. They ran out into the desert night. The horizon pulsed with distant lights, each one drawing closer. The wind carried the sound of engines, hunters in the sky. Ryan loaded his rifle and started the jeep. Get in! Lyra hesitated for a moment, staring up at the stars. She said they would come, she murmured. The ones who fear the light. Then we show them what it means to face it, Ryan said. The jeep roared to life, tearing through the dunes. Above them, the first drone descended, red eyes cutting through the dark. Ryan aimed and fired, the shot echoing across the wasteland. Sparks burst, and the machine spun out, crashing into the sand behind them. Lyra held onto the dashboard, her pendant glowing brighter with each heartbeat. "Father," she said, her voice trembling. "There's something inside me. I can feel it waking. What do you mean?" She pressed a hand over her chest. "It's her, Luna's memories. They're alive." Ryan glanced at her. The glow beneath her skin was spreading, faint lines of light racing along her arms. "Can you control it?" "I don't know," she whispered. "But I think she left something for you." Before he could ask what she meant, the radar beeped again, 3 more drones closing in. Ryan gritted his teeth. "Hold on, kid." The desert lit up as bullets tore through the sand around them. Lyra gasped, her eyes wide, and suddenly a wave of blue light erupted from her chest. It spread outward like a shockwave, flipping the drones mid-air and scattering them like leaves in a storm. When the light faded, silence followed. The only sound was the engine's dying hum. Ryan turned to her. "You okay?" She nodded weakly. "It's getting stronger," she said. Her voice, "It's clearer now." "What is she saying?" Lyra looked at him with eyes that no longer belonged to a child. "She says the light remembers everything." The words chilled him. "Everything?" Lyra nodded. "Even the ones who tried to kill her." The wind outside shifted, carrying the distant hum of approaching ships. Ryan looked at the horizon, his jaw tight. "Then we're running out of time." Lyra's glow softened. "No," she said softly. "We're running out of chances." The dawn was coming, but so was war. And Ryan knew that whatever Luna had left behind inside the child was more than power. It was destiny. The morning sun burned through the last of the storm. The desert, once drowned in shadow, now shone with golden fire. Ryan and Lyra sat near the edge of a rocky ridge, the jeep parked beside them, half buried in dust. The silence was heavy, too heavy. It was the kind that came right before something broke. Lyra's eyes glowed faintly as she stared at the rising light. Her voice was soft, barely above a whisper. "It's beautiful," she said. "Is this what she saw before she saved you?" Ryan didn't answer right away. His hand rested on his knee, the other holding a small metallic token, the folded adoption paper Luna had left behind years ago. The edges were worn, but the blue glow still shimmered faintly, as if it too refused to die. "She didn't save me," he said finally. "She saved the whole damn world. I just happened to be there." Lyra turned toward him, her expression thoughtful. "She saved you because you saw her as a person, not a weapon." Ryan sighed, his gaze fixed on the horizon. "And humanity hasn't learned a damn thing since." Far in the distance, a shadow moved across the sand, a convoy of black vehicles cutting through the dunes. He recognized the pattern. Military, efficient, merciless. "They found us again," he muttered. Lyra's glow brightened slightly. "Then it's time." "Time for what?" She hesitated, her eyes shimmering gold. "For the truth," Ryan frowned. "What truth?" Lyra stood slowly, stepping toward the sunlight. Her pendant pulsed with energy. The air around her shimmered, and a soft hum filled the space between them. Then, like the turning of a key, the light inside her expanded. Blue holographic symbols formed around her body, spinning in the air, alien text mixed with human code. It looked alive. Ryan rose to his feet. "Lyra, what's happening?" Her voice changed, layered, 2 tones speaking at once. "Her memories are opening." A flood of images burst from the light, thousands of visions overlapping, Luna's final moments. Her energy scattering into the sky, fragments of her mind merging with satellites. Machines, even living cells. Ryan staggered back, shielding his eyes. "What is this?" Lyra's voice was steady but distant. "She became part of everything. Every network, every signal. When the world rebuilt itself, it used her light without knowing." He froze. "You're saying the world's systems, The tech, the satellites, the AIs, they're all built on her energy? Lyra nodded. Pieces of her, fragments. They call it Zero Net, the new global defense system. But it's her code. Her soul. Ryan's mind reeled. That's impossible. No, Lyra said. It's human. The words echoed between them like a confession. Humanity had taken the power of a being born from love and turned it into control. That's why they're hunting you, Ryan said slowly. You're the key to shutting it down. Lyra turned her gaze to the approaching dust clouds. No, Father. I'm the key to waking it up. Ryan shook his head. You don't understand. If you do that, she looked at him, and for the first time, he saw Luna's calm strength in her golden eyes. I do understand. You taught her what love means. She taught me what sacrifice is. And now, I know what both feel like. The wind picked up, carrying the low rumble of engines. Ryan loaded his rifle, even though he knew it wouldn't matter. Lyra stepped closer, placing her small hand on his chest. You don't have to fight them this time, she whispered. You just have to believe, he met her gaze. In what? In me, she said. The convoy drew closer, black armor gleaming in the sunlight. The first vehicle stopped 50 meters away, its doors opening in sync. Soldiers poured out, faces hidden behind mirrored visors. A voice crackled through a speaker. Captain Ryan Hale, step away from the subject. Ryan didn't move. You'll have to shoot me. Don't make this harder than it needs to be, the voice replied. That thing is not your daughter. It's an unstable prototype from the Zero Net breach. Hand it over. Lyra looked at him with quiet sadness. They call me a breach, she murmured. But I'm the bridge. Before the soldiers could advance, her pendant flared with light. The sand rippled outward and the air shimmered with heat. The machine's sensors glitched, red lights flickering wildly. Lyra, stop! Ryan shouted. You'll burn yourself out. She smiled faintly, tears glinting in her eyes. It's okay. I'm not alone this time. The soldiers raised their rifles and then froze. Their suits sparked, their visors flickering. A wave of static washed through the air. Ryan turned, his breath catching. Behind Lyra, a figure was forming in the light. Tall, radiant, her features soft and familiar. Luna. Her body was made of light and dust, half there, half memory. But her eyes, those silver, endless eyes, were unmistakable. Hello, Ryan, she said gently. He fell to his knees. Luna? The light around them trembled as Luna smiled, sad and kind. You kept your promise. Ryan's vision blurred with tears. You said you'd always be here. I am, she whispered. But only because you believed. Lyra reached toward the glowing figure. Mother. Luna's gaze softened. You are both my heart. The soldiers began shouting again, but their voices sounded distant, meaningless. The light between Luna and Lyra pulsed brighter, fusing into one blinding sphere. Ryan's heart pounded. What's happening? Luna's voice echoed softly. The world forgot what it meant to love what it feared. We're going to remind it. Then everything exploded into light. When Ryan opened his eyes again, the desert was silent. The soldiers were gone. The vehicles stood empty, their engines dead. The air was filled with a quiet hum, a heartbeat that came from the earth itself. Lyra stood at the center of the crater, glowing brighter than ever before. Luna was gone. She's inside me now, Lyra said softly. And she's not angry. She's sad, but she's ready to forgive. Ryan felt tears slip down his face. What do we do now? Lyra turned toward the rising sun. Now, Father, we finish what she started. The wind had died. Only the soft hum of energy filled the air. Ryan stood among the wrecked convoy, rifles half buried in sand, vehicles melted to quiet sculptures. The world was holding its breath. At the center of the crater, Lyra's glow pulsed like a heart too big for its body. Father, she whispered, do you hear it? He listened. Beneath the silence came a rhythm, a deep, steady beat echoing through the ground, like the planet itself was waking. I hear it, he said. What is it? The network, she answered. Every signal, every system that carries Luna's light. They're calling to me. Ryan's gut tightened. He looked toward the sky. The horizon shimmered red. Far above, the clouds split open and something enormous pushed through, a ship so vast it swallowed the sun. It was not human. Its hull was black glass, its core burning like a dying star. The Xerian mothership. Lyra's eyes flashed gold. They've come to reclaim her code. Ryan raised his rifle out of habit, knowing it meant nothing. They'll destroy everything to get it. They already tried once, she said. Now they'll see what love built instead of fear. She stepped forward, sand swirling around her ankles. Every grain caught the sunlight until the entire desert looked like liquid fire. Her pendant blazed, threads of blue energy climbing her arms, wrapping her in light. "Lyra, wait!" Ryan shouted. "You can't fight that thing alone!" She turned, smiling softly. "I'm not alone. You gave me a name, Father. That means I carry your courage, too." The ship's shadow fell over them. A voice boomed from the sky, mechanical and cold. "Subject Lyra 47, cease transmission. Return the code or this world will be erased." Ryan shouted back at the clouds. "She's not a subject. She's my daughter." The voice ignored him. Final warning. Lyra's glow deepened until her blue skin shone like polished crystal. The ground trembled as her power spread outward, forming a sphere of light around her and Ryan. Inside it, the air felt warm, alive. "Father," she said quietly, "hold my hand." He did. The moment their fingers touched, the world dissolved into brightness. They were standing in memory, not the desert, but a sea of light stretching forever. Images floated around them, Luna laughing, Luna crying, Luna saving the earth. Lyra's voice trembled. This is her. Every moment she left behind. Ryan looked around, awestruck. She's everywhere. She wanted peace, Lyra said. But the universe only remembers war. If we link with ZeroNet now, we can change it. We can show them what she felt. Ryan's throat tightened. What happens to you? Lyra smiled, tears of light running down her cheeks. Then I'll become what she was. Not gone, just everywhere. He shook his head. No, I already lost one daughter. You didn't lose her, she said softly. She became the light you followed here. And when I'm gone, you'll never be alone again either. The vision shattered. They were back under the open sky. The ship above had begun to fire. Beams of red plasma cut through the air, striking the shield, exploding into bursts of color. Lyra closed her eyes. The desert wind lifted her hair. Her voice rose clear and strong. You cannot kill what was born from love. She released his hand and floated upward, her light swelling until Ryan had to shield his eyes. The ship unleashed another volley, but each beam dissolved before touching her. She spread her arms wide. Luna, she whispered, guide me. From the horizon, 1,000 thin beams of blue rose into the sky, from satellites, from old towers, from the hearts of cities still running on ZeroNet power. They converged on her, forming a radiant lattice that reached the mothership. Inside that web of light, something changed. The ship's weapons went dark. Its red glow faded to silver. And for the first time, the great machine spoke not in commands, but in confusion. Signal override. Emotion detected. Compassion protocol engaged. Lyra's light filled the heavens. Ryan could barely see through the tears in his eyes. The clouds turned blue. The sand glowed. And for a heartbeat, the entire planet shimmered as though reborn. Then came her voice. Calm. Peaceful. Everywhere at once. Goodbye, Father. Lyra, he cried. Come back! But she was already becoming light, her body dissolving into 1,000,000 glowing particles drifting into the sky. They merged with the clouds, the satellites, the wind. The rising sun broke through them, scattering the colors of dawn across the world. And then it was over. The ship retreated silently, vanishing beyond the atmosphere. The desert lay quiet again, but the air still hummed with her energy. Ryan fell to his knees, staring at the sky. His chest hurt, but there was peace in the pain. He pressed his hand to his heart and whispered, You kept your promise. The horizon brightened. A second sun rose, not of fire, but of pure light, spreading warmth across the dunes. Every screen, every satellite, every signal on Earth flickered once with a single line of text. The light, remembers love. Ryan smiled through the tears. She did it, he murmured. She really became the sunrise. He stood, wind whipping around him, and began walking toward the glow. The desert felt alive again, and somewhere in that new dawn he swore he heard two voices, one old, one new, laughing together in the light. The world did not end that morning. It began again. For 3 whole minutes, every light on earth had burned the color of the sky. Soft blue, alive, pulsing like a heartbeat. Air traffic stopped, power grids froze, and when everything came back online, people found messages written in the static of their machines, the hum of their radios, the glow of their city screens. The light remembers love, no one understood at first. Scientists blamed solar interference. Commanders called it a glitch. But those who had once fought the war remembered. They had seen her. They whispered her name like prayer. Luna. And now another. Lyra. Far from the cities, in the same desert that had given birth to every miracle, Captain Ryan Hale stood on the ridge watching dawn spill across the dunes. His beard was gray now, his eyes lined with the weight of too many goodbyes, yet something in him finally felt at peace. The wind that brushed his face was warm. It carried a faint sound, laughter, young and bright, and when he closed his eyes, he could almost see them both running through the light, their hands intertwined. He'd buried his rifle weeks ago. He no longer needed it. The world no longer needed men like him to kill for peace. Instead, they sent envoys, teachers, dreamers. The nations that once built weapons from Luna's code now built hospitals powered by it. ZeroNet had rewritten itself, purged of commands and fear, transformed into what Luna had wanted all along, a web that healed instead of controlled. The people called it the Afterlight. It powered cities without fire, grew crops in wastelands, carried water to the thirsty. For the first time in history, every nation shared the same source of energy, the same heartbeat. Humanity, at last, moved in rhythm with something greater than itself. Ryan still lived in the desert. He didn't need applause or medals. He'd had those before, and they'd felt empty. Now he woke each morning to the golden silence and the shimmer of light on the horizon. Some days he'd see small lights drifting above the sand, glowing motes that danced in circles before vanishing into the wind. The locals called them Luna's tears. He knew better. They were pieces of her, of Lyra, watching over the world they'd saved. Every night he would write a single line in a small notebook, still keeping my promise. Then, one evening, a soft chime echoed through his cabin, a sound he hadn't heard in years. The old comm screen flickered alive, static, giving way to a blue symbol shaped like a star. A voice followed, clear, gentle, and unmistakably familiar. "Hello, Father?" Ryan froze. "Lyra," the voice laughed softly. "Only a little part of me. The rest is everywhere now. But I missed you." His hands trembled as he reached for the screen. "How is that possible?" "You linked with me when you held my hand," she said. "The system remembers your pattern. I just followed it back." He smiled through the tears. "Always stubborn. Like you," she teased. Then her tone softened. "The people are learning, Father. They're building, helping, dreaming. Mother's light guides them. You were right about them. Humans can change." He swallowed hard. "I wasn't sure anymore." "You never stopped trying," she said. "That's what makes you human." Outside, the wind picked up, scattering sand against the window. The sky glowed with the faint shimmer of auroras, blue, gold, and silver threads stretching from horizon to horizon. "I wish I could see you," he whispered. "I'm right here," she said gently. "Every time you look at the dawn." The screen flickered, and before it dimmed, her final words lingered. "Thank you for being my home." Ryan sat for a long while, the room filled with soft static. Then he stood and stepped outside. The desert was quiet except for the whisper of wind over stone. In the distance, the horizon burned with a light so pure it seemed alive. He watched it rise, the second sunrise of his lifetime. Not fire, not fury, just warmth, the kind of light that healed instead of destroyed. He placed his hand over his heart, feeling the faint echo of another heartbeat deep within. Not his, but theirs. "Rest easy, girls," he murmured. "The world remembers." Above him, two faint stars shimmered side by side in the pale blue sky. One silver, one gold, and the wind carried a sound that might have been laughter or the beginning of a song. As the sun climbed higher, Captain Ryan Hale turned toward the horizon and began walking, leaving only footprints glowing softly behind him, fading into light. And in that endless desert, under the warmth of a peaceful world, the promise of love outlasted even the stars. End of her second sunrise, the return of Luna.